This video is about the project piece of work, which is a written piece of work which needs to be submitted to IWFM for your endpoint assessment. Now, if there was one piece of work where every other aspect of the endpoint assessment work that you put together coalesces around, it would be this. This is your main submission, and notwithstanding the fact, of course, your reflective log and work-based evidence and expert witness testimony covered in the videos before now are important, absolutely, and a key part of your portfolio, this particular piece of work is the daddy or the mummy. This is an 8,000 word document. It can be done at the end of your level 4 diploma in part of preparation for your endpoint assessment, or indeed it could be something that you do throughout your apprenticeship journey. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Word document that I've created for you, the project preparation document, and then briefly the project guidance document. But I'm a firm believer that no matter how long I take explaining on this video, more clarity and questions will come of you listening to this video, watching it, and indeed reading these documents. So the caveat to this video is simple. Watch the video, read the documents, and then come back to your tutor coach, in this case Mike, and ask for any further clarity should you require it. Okay, let's have a look at the project preparation document. Here we have the project preparation document that I've created for you. It's in PDF format, and in short, it is a summary on a page of the requirements of you and is a direct extrapolation of data from the IWFM project document, which we'll look at shortly. So here we go then. This document is a summary of the requirements of the IWFM's project guidance document. And you should read through that carefully and refer to this document afterwards as a continuum source throughout compiling your written project work. Page numbers and tables refer to the IWFM project guidance document. Your written project must be set out as per the IWFM stipulations on page 3, table 2. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Note the word count. The word count is 8,000 words, and this is plus or minus 10%. And the aspects of must, should, and could should prioritise your writing. Now, I have to say at this point, before we look at bullet 2 and 3, that 8,000 words plus or minus 10% might seem a lot. But the fact of the matter is, you've probably written far more than that on any one of the unit pieces of work that you've done as part of your diploma journey. So try not to be fazed by the word count. IWFM is also very strict on that word count, and if you are over or under more than 10%, then they will send it back to you. So do be careful with your word count and read the guidance on what is included in that word count in the IWFM document, which, as I said, we'll look at in a minute. Note the requirement and advice for the outline, proposal and project plan on page 3. The introduction, page 4. The literature review on page 4. This is important. Also note the advisory of conclusions on page 5. Include an index like table 2. But the format for each page is completely your design. There are command words that are relative throughout your work, i.e. for all assessments. And for your project work, you can pretty much look upon that as 4 assessments, and we'll look at that in a minute. You should refer to these command words to provide structure and interpretation of your project work, and these are as follows. First of all, evaluate, and I've put an interpretation of the verb evaluate here: to judge from available sources. Likewise with monitor, to observe or report an activity or performance. Report is to have an account prepared after an investigation and publishing, and develop is to take forward or build upon given information. You should bear in mind that these verb words and the interpretation of these verb verbs are IWFMs, so it'd be wise to interpret them and use that as structure. Now up here, when we read through here, we said there were 4 assignments or 4 assessments, and that's how you should look at your project piece of work that you're writing. We'll talk more about that in a minute, as 4 separate areas. The first area is assessment task 1, which is about property and asset management. The next is about FM compliance. The next is about FM management systems, and the next is about financial and procurement management. These assessments will be judged against the 4 areas of the apprenticeship standard, and the standard is noted in the numbers in brackets. There are also 4 behavioural competencies as part of the apprenticeship standard being assessed as follows: customer focus, innovation and quality, ethics and integrity, and systematic approach. But hang on, Mike, haven't I done an expert witness testimony just like the previous video, and I've got all that done? Surely I'm not being assessed again? Well, yes you are, and the whole point of this being mentioned in here is that it is an aspect of your written work which is indeed being assessed relative to those verb words up here which give you structure: evaluate, monitor, report and develop. So when you're writing, you should be looking at these specific areas again to give you structure. In between the vertices of that structure, if you like, is of course your content. Further detail on the behavioural competencies can be found from page 11, and you must ensure that the following is on each page of your work: date and name, page number of total pages, i.e. page 1 of, and then a number, and the level 4 FM apprenticeship and project title. You should also include your IWFM registration number, which will be given to you by your tutor coach, in this case Mike. Okay, so before we look at IWFM's document, what is this project all about? Well, the project is something that should be relative, that you have been involved in as throughout your apprenticeship journey. It should be agreed with your employer, and of course you can seek advice from your tutor coach as to whether that particular project that you're going to write about, using the structures that we've mentioned earlier on of evaluate, monitor, report and develop, writing about the must, should and could in these various different assessment tasks, that particular project should be relative to something that you've been involved in, and the employer should, your employer or line manager should agree with you what that could be. Now, very clearly the range there is huge on what that could be. It could be, for example, a complete fit out of a building or a floor or a room, but likewise it could be something as simple as perhaps taking on new suppliers, or changing the way in which you deliver FM to your particular locations or organisations. Once you have agreed with your line manager as to what the project is that you're going to write about, my advice to you is then to speak to your tutor coach. Here we go again, that's Mike, because he will then be able to give you guidance as to the nuances of that particular project that you're going to be writing about. So do communicate with him for some advice and guidance as to whether that is going to be a suitable project to write about. And it may well be that it might not be, but Mike will be able to assess what it is you're writing about, have a chat with you, pull some information from you, and then give you a steer as to how to put that together. As with all videos in this video series for the level 4 preparation for EPA, please watch this video several times, make notes, and of course read this document back to front several times. Time spent in preparation is never wasted. Let's now have a look then at the work-based project document from IWFM that this summary on a page references.